I'll definitely look into that and, make sure, we make it so it's a good experience for you. Okay. So don't be too worried about that. And just reach out if you need to. Yeah. If anybody else had trouble with the tests, technical issues, please let me know. That way I can, in the background, I'm getting to grading them this afternoon and hopefully through tomorrow, depending on how how long it takes me, and then I have to take a break if I double see everything after a while, because I hand grade all of those tests. So do not be alarmed about the score maybe feeling like it's too low than it should be. Most people get at least some extra points added because some slim misspelling, or it's a very close structure, or things like that. Any other comments to the test from your side? How was the experience for you guys?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
I actually had, I don't remember which question exactly, but it was asking about a landmark on the skull, and it was saying the landmark. So I thought it's in the front. So I thought, okay, it's not ethmoid bone.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying, oh, this little landmark here, and there was there are two things, Crista Gali and cribriform place.
And
So
I took them both.
yeah, so it made me confused. I thought, I'm not sure exactly what you're pointing at, so I just guessed. Well, I think I got it right, but just want to say that part
That was a little hard, right?
Yeah.
I translated the test straight from the classroom, and in the classroom, you can ask questions and I come around, and on this format you can. So I tried to make it as expansive as possible in the grading. So I give both of those areas are correct, or even if somebody put ethmoid bone, I give that.
Okay, yeah, but overall, I think it was pretty straightforward, and yeah, I got a lot of questions and understood most of the things.
That's good. No, it should be a test from my end, but I also feel like where you can show me a little where you're at with the learning process, but also that it is a learning experience for you guys. It shouldn't just be a simple exercise of nerves. We don't hopefully we don't do it that way.
Yeah.
Anybody else have some comments about the test that we just finished?
Sorry, it's Allison. I just came in a little late.
That's
so
okay.
It says it's already graded. Is that correct?
No, it does that automatically. I can't stop that, but I have to go behind it and hand grade everyone.
Okay.
Because most of us, me included, when you see my notes, there's going to be spelling error things in there, and so I want to make sure for sure take those out, and then also depending on the answers you've given, I want to make sure I analyze it a little more to give you guys as many points as possible. And
okay, I've got a pretty good score, so it won't go down then. It'll go.
It can only go up.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes I've even noticed that the program doesn't, accept answers that are correct that I put in the background, and somehow it misses that. So, don't take that score you have now as it's the final score. Of course, it's great if you have a higher score, fairly high score already, then I have to do less work. But it will definitely not go down. It will only go up if up. But most people get a better score at the end. Good. Any more comments or questions? And if not, or if you just want to button as I start working here in going for the week, just button in. The rules are in this class. You don't need to wait for me to ask you. You just say, hi, I got a question, because otherwise it's just all this silence when I ask questions. And I also can't necessarily see when you raise a hand. But are you guys seeing my screen? Am I showing the screen at this point?
Yeah.
Good. So I think the biggest thing now as we go forward, we touched briefly last week, we start now with the heart. Oops, we go with the heart, we go to the blood vessel, then we do immune system. I opened those so far, and then these come a little bit later, nervous system, and then we get into the respiratory, digestive, urinary, and reproductive. And then at the end, we have a test review. And actually, I want to open that up too. We have, at the end, of course, we have a test. And so what I want, as we go through this material, I want you to go into this test review first. And that's open now. Sorry, I just opened that. I don't know why I was closed. And in there, you're going to have a few things. You're going to have test 3 review, which is all the concepts that we talk about, the questions and all that stuff from that part of the material is in there listed as what's on the test, and I'll open that in a moment. And then we also have another term list, which is kind of like the test we just had, but it's about the heart, the brain, and all of those kind of places, and then or organs. And then we have another document that I made with pictures that I use on the test. That way you have as accurate as a possible way to prepare for the test as possible. So the test review, well, the term list, as far as I can tell, this is the term list. Everything is a little slow when I'm on Zoom. Sorry about that. Oh no, these are the pictures. Oh look, this is good. Actually, that's why it's a little slow, because these are the pictures. So these are the third link that I showed you in here, on here, this one, the pictures on the test. So I would use those to study as much as possible for the test from the terms, the anatomy terms. If you print that out, if you have the ability, or at least download this document on a tablet or something, we can access it as you go through the material. I think this is a very good document to have next to you to sort of figure out most terms, can you locate them? They're not all visualized because I took these pictures kind of quickly when Corona just happened, but a lot of it is on those, and I use the models that I use on the test. And you have the term lists that we use for the anatomy terms in your booklets, in your labeling, coloring, labeling handout, part of the course. And this is the list how it looks. And so I also want you to have that next to you, because that's another piece that's going to be important for the test 3 as it comes up. But I know we all just took the test 2, but I want to make sure I, prepare you properly for the test. And then lastly, the thing that I really want you to get an understanding on is this test 3 review. And so that's the material that you need to know for, oh, look at that, it didn't even do that. That you need to know for this coming test. And the reason why I want you to print that out, if you can, or have it at least downloaded on a place where you can review it or access it, because this is all that's on the test 3 from the chapters as we work our way through the chapters, besides the anatomy term. So I called that out. So this is a 4-page document with everything spelled out. So this is a perfect document to have to make flashcards of, because as you work your way through the heart, oops, sorry about this, it's so slow. You can see it, right? Can you see this? Anybody?
Yes. Yes.
Good. We're still on call. Excellent. So as you work your way through the heart, which is the next chapter, you can see what do you need to remember, or what you really need to understand for the test. Same with the blood vessels, same with the blood, and yada yada yada. And so what that helps you with is that helps you with focusing you on what you really need to know for the test, but also opens up the brain power that you don't need to worry that every little detail is on the test, because you still work your way through the questions that are the quiz question type things every time. And so that way I know you're working on the material, but you don't need to be anxious of having to remember everything. And the reason why I did it that way is because we're going through a lot of material, and I really rather give you material and talk about that and learn than just focusing on the test only and on having to memorize everything. And then, of course, the test 3 is also an open book test. And it will be a combination between like multiple choice, true, false, and then the anatomy term part, like we just had in the second term and second test. So that's why I wanted to start with the test review to guide you that you start this process properly, and now kind of have this review, and then as we go through the chapters, focus on understanding the material and on learning it, and less on what exactly do I need to remember for the test, because you really got it all spelled out. And if you go forward, you just really memorize those points that are on that list in addition to the anatomy terms, then I think you're really well prepared for the test when it comes at the end of the year. So here we got, the same stuff. We got the videos you watch, and then you have these questions on the heart, and then this is actually another link to the term. And then you got another coloring, label and coloring lab exercise that you already have the handout with. You just have to label and color it and take a picture and upload it. Oh, and look, and then in here, actually, I do have another link to the test review. It's that important. So you can also access that document I just talked about from here. Didn't even see that. Then we do not do a heart dissection. You don't have that link. But what we do here is a health kit exercise on the blood pressure. And what I did is I compiled information as much as I kind of could on blood pressure, and I try to explain what it is and not how we take it, but more like what influences blood pressure and what how we deal with high blood pressure. And not from a medical perspective, because the doctor will work with the medications and we can learn that later, but also from a lifestyle more perspective of what are things that contribute to blood pressure fluctuations and changes. And of course, more the high blood pressure, because low blood pressure is usually not our problem unless it's an acute situation. But we do have a tendency to have high blood pressure in our culture. And so I thought we'd do an exercise on
Hello? Hello?
Did
Oh,
something happen? Because I can't hear anything.
cut, so they should lose less salt in the foods that are processed that we eat. And that just came, I think, out last week or the week before. But what I want to do for us is I want to, for a week, I want us to sort of watch what kind of salt do we eat, how much salt do we take in, and kind of monitor that intake a little bit, and then write down what you eat in the salt department, and then multiply or add it on at the end, and then give me a few figures, one for each day, of how much salt, estimating how much salt you consumed that day. And so by focusing on something like that for a little bit, we kind of get a little primed. And it's like, oh, I'm actually doing great. Or, oh, look at that. This thing that I eat all the time that I really like, it's actually so salty. Maybe I should think about that or try to alter that. And so that's what I want you to do. If you do have, I want you to do that for 1 week. And actually, I should do it too once in a while again. But if you do have issues with the food, things that we do, if they trigger you emotionally heavy or so, then reach out to me and we'll do something else. But for most of us, this should be an okay exercise to do. And so I want you to do that in the heart chapter. And then after that, we go to the blood chapter, the blood vessels. So there's questions and videos to watch, a little labeling, not too much for the blood. Blood cells, the red blood cell and different white blood cells. And then the following week, so this is this week what I want you to do, and then the following week, if you have some to do a little more, we go dive into the immune system, and in there we have mostly questions with videos And then the same is true for the endocrine system, and the integumentary system, which is the skin. So the endocrines are the hormones, and the skin is the integumentary system. And so that's then the following week, though. That's not this week, but just in case somebody work ahead or so, that's what we have. And then after that, we get into the brain part, which is kind of cool. I really like the brain. It's pretty intricate, though. So we'll spend a couple weeks on that. All right, good. I think that's pretty good from what I wanted to talk about on the screen. Do you guys have any questions as we go through that come up? No?
Hi, it's Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
I had a leaf blower outside of my window when you were talking about the blood pressure, and I was just curious. I actually have a home blood pressure machine.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you said we're not going to do it because it's not available? But is that an
yeah, you can definitely. It's if you can't take your own blood pressure and get an understanding, then absolutely, I think that's a good thing. I just don't make it mandatory in terms of taking the blood pressure, because also I don't want to necessarily, depending on people, freak people out. And most of us know if we have a little high blood pressure or not. But if you have the availability, yeah, by any means, please measure it and see how it is. And maybe even see if you do, let's say, a couple weeks of low sodium or something, or a couple weeks of no alcohol or something. If that's what you do, then see if it changes it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that document, I kind of talk about what different things are influencing it and what different things can lower it. Inactivity, of course, raises it, and salt raises it, and smoking and too much alcohol, and too much coffee, although that's always a little bit of a question mark, that seems to be. But so I'm more making the exercise around altering some lifestyle thing a little bit, or monitoring some lifestyle thing a little bit, versus having to take it.
Okay.
But by any means, I do the same. Take it if you can.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I just want to say, I really enjoyed this class, and I really appreciate everything you do, and I can see how much work and you put in this class and how you explain things, and for that, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. My background is from kind of wanting to make school a little more accessible, because it wasn't necessarily accessible for me with my learning style early on in my school world. And then also and then having English be a foreign language, it's always been very important for me to learn how to explain things better and better. And so I've been very motivated to make this class as much of a baby of mine as I can. And I really appreciate that you recognize that, because it's wonderful work, but yeah, it's a lot of work.
I would say amen to that.
Yeah, right. I'm transferring it now to a purely online format without the booklets as well, and I'm sitting there at, 8-9 hours at a time going like, where did the time go? But it's very enjoyable work, and I really appreciate that. It's also hopefully more or less enjoyable process on your end to learn new stuff and learn about your body, because that's really my
I think you can perfect it over time.
Yeah, we're working on that all the time. No, it's really about, the mission of this class is really about trying to make knowing about the body a thing that then you can use to also make decisions about your health and your body and how you want to live, so.
Yeah.
Cool. Wonderful. Well, with that, anybody else? Otherwise, we can close it out. I don't have too much more to go through. You guys are doing fantastic work. Just keep working in the background. All right. Good.
I do want to bring something up. I
Yes,
noticed
sir.
you changed. Did you change the due dates on certain assignments?
Yeah, depending on, sometimes I open it back up.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I open it back up depending on what's going on in the background. And
Yeah.
so that's usually I try to be on it if you're on a regular schedule, but then sometimes people, get sick and then they need to catch up. And so sometimes I open them. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Trying to make sure everybody gets through the semester, Most
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right. Good. Well,
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.